Good morning, everybody. It's Monday, the 18th of January, 2021, and it's my second live streamed assembly to the universe. And I'd like to welcome you all. Welcome to another week. Welcome to another joyous round of home learning, which we're loving and everybody's embracing, which is fantastic. And welcome to another story with a little bit of a moral to it. Now, we remember last week was all about how to deal with if you had a specific little worry and that you might like to talk to somebody. Well, this week's is slightly different. And I'd like to introduce you to a story that I bought when my son was about 1.5, 2 years old. And so this is an old book that's been in my house for about 14 years now. And it's a story called Ruby Flew Too. And it's about this little duck called Ruby. And the author is up here, Jonathan Emmett and Rebecca Harry. So they're the two people that wrote this story, all about a little duck called Ruby. Let's see what it's about. Once upon a time, once upon a time, upon a nest beside a lake, there lived a mother duck and a father duck. The mother duck was this, and the father duck was this. There were 5 eggs in the nest. Mother duck sat on the eggs all day and all night. She sat on the eggs through howling winds, swirling winds, and through driving rain, looking after her eggs, all 5 of them. Then, one bright morning, the eggs began to hatch. 1, 2, 3, 4 little beaks poked out into the sunlight. 1, 2, 3, 4 little ducklings shook their feathers in the breeze. We'll call them Rufus, Rory, Rosie, and Rebecca, said Father Duck. And Mother Duck agreed. She thought that was a good idea. But the 5th egg did nothing. Look, Rufus, Rory, Rosie, and Rebecca are all looking at that little blue egg, but nothing's happening. Will it ever hatch? Said Father Duck. It will, said Mother Duck, in its own time. And sure enough, it did. Look how cute this little duck is. She's very small, said Father Duck. What shall we call her? We'll call her Ruby, said Mother Duck, because she's small and precious. Rufus, Rory, Rosie, and Rebecca ate whatever they were given. They ate anything and everything. But Ruby ate nothing. Will she ever eat? Said Father Duck. She will, said Mother Duck, in her own time. Father Duck seems a bit worried, doesn't he? Let's see what happens next. And sure enough, eventually, Ruby did eat. Rufus, Rory, Rosie, and Rebecca swam off whenever they were able. They swam everywhere and anywhere. But Ruby swam nowhere. Will she ever swim? Asked Father Duck. She will, said Mother Duck, in her own time. And sure enough, she did. Rufus, Rory, Rosie, and Rebecca grew bigger And Ruby grew bigger too. Her feathers grew out and her wings grew broad and beautiful. And when Rufus, Rory, Rosie and Rebecca began to fly, Ruby flew too. Look at her, flying with all her brothers and sisters. Rufus, Rory, Rosie and Rebecca flew far and wide. They flew out across the water. They flew up among the trees. But Ruby flew farther and wider. She flew out beyond the water. She flew up above the trees. She flew anywhere and everywhere. She stretched out her beautiful wings and she soared high among the clouds. Mother Duck and Father Duck watched Ruby flying off into the distance. "Will she ever come back?" said Mother Duck. "She will," said Father Duck, "in her own time." And sure enough, eventually, Ruby came back. She's got a little family of her own. There, look. And there are all her ducklings. Now, this story is really, really important because Rufus, Rory, Rosie, and Rebecca, they burst out of their eggs. They ate anything they were given. But Ruby took a tiny bit longer, didn't she? And it's okay if you take a little bit longer to do things than other people. Mother Duck never ever compared Ruby to the others. She said it's okay for Ruby to learn to fly when she's ready. It's okay for Ruby to eat all the different food whenever she's ready. And that's a really important lesson that we can take forward in life as well, because we're not all amazing at everything straight away. Some people are really fantastically good at writing. And so straight away, they get a pen and off they go and they just love writing. But they sometimes, other people, don't find it that easy to write straight away. And they have to practice a bit more and put a bit more time into it. And maybe those are the people that are really, really good at football or really good at riding on their scooter or riding their bike. But it's not easy for everybody. So we've all got things that we're really good at. And we've all got things that we have to work really hard at. And that doesn't mean that we shouldn't try our very best. We should always try our very best. But sometimes it takes a little bit longer to do some things than it does to do others. And I think that's really important, especially at the moment whilst we're doing home learning. Because for some people, it's really easy to access and it's really straightforward. But for some people, we have to try and work a little bit harder at it and take a little bit longer until we get things right. And as teachers, that doesn't worry us at all. It's really important for everybody to take their time and to learn how to do things in their own time. We don't all learn to do things in the same way. For some people, for some children, maybe it's much easier to learn when you're outside. So it's easier to do phonics if they're out in the woodland or on the playground and you can run around or you can kick a ball that's got a phonic on it. But for some children, it's easier to do it while you're looking at a board. I know for Mrs Calvert, I have to do a lot of paperwork. And I find it much easier when I can draw what I need to do because I'm what they call a visual learner. So I sit and I learn things by looking at pictures and diagrams. So when we think about how we can apply this story to our learning at the moment, it's about giving ourselves a little bit of a break and thinking, maybe this isn't one of those things that I'm going to be able to manage straight away. And maybe it's a case of, I can't do it yet. And if I practice and if I try hard, I will then learn to be able to do it exactly like everybody else. Okay, so we'll have a little think about that. I will photocopy this and put this up in the library wall to remind us that it's okay to do things in our own time, to find our own way of learning, to find our own way of living, to find out how we do that in life. It's so lovely to get the opportunity to speak to all of you like this. I hope you have a wonderful day today. I'm hoping this week is not quite as crazy as last week, and I look forward to seeing you all later in the week. Okay, be good, take care of each other, and remember, learning takes place in our own time. See you soon. Be good, everybody. Bye-bye.